Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell, give 'em a hand, and let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York town.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets and Rob with another Mets watch party live right here on the channel. And this is a very special watch party live, as the first time in MLB history where there will be a spring breakout game with top prospects from each individual team that will be facing off against another team's top prospects. And the New York Mets top prospects will be facing off against the Washington Nationals top prospects. And this is something that I'm extremely excited about. I can't wait for the game. It's not going to tell us if these guys are going to be great or good. It's similar to the futures games in the All-Star game, but it's a little bit different because you get to see a lot more of your top prospects that you usually wouldn't get to see on a regular basis if you're just watching a spring training game. There's some guys in here that you haven't really seen in spring training. Dominic Hamill is one of them. That's the guy that we're really going to see pitch today. He is starting against Jackson Rutledge for the Washington Nationals. So there's a couple of guys. Marco Vargas, who is that helium prospect, that one of the prospects we got for David Robertson in the trade last year that was sent to the Marlins. He's one of the guys that we're going to see, a guy that the Mets really, really love and think that he's going to shoot up the farm system rather quickly. That is one of the guys as well. We're going to see, obviously, Jet Williams, Drew Gilbert, Ryan Clifford, Alex Ramirez, a little more of these guys. We've seen a little bit in spring training, but we're going to see a lot of them today. They're going to try to get almost, I believe, everybody that's a part of the roster. I think there's 27 guys on the roster is going to be in the game. So I'm assuming a lot of these guys are going to get one or two at-bats. Pitchers are probably going to get one in a piece, because I think there's 9 pitchers on the roster. So there's going to be a lot to look at. You're going to see a lot of your favorite top prospects, a lot of prospects that might not even be that are not in the top 10, but could be in the top 20 to 25 that you probably haven't even got a chance to look at. And you're going to see here today that starts at 3:10. So make sure you hit on that like button, guys. And if you're a new subscriber of the channel, make sure you say what's up in the chat, and I will shout you out. Jen, absolutely. I'm live. That means it is baseball season, and I can't wait. We're literally 13 days away. 13 until opening day at Citi Field against the Milwaukee Brewers. Jose Quintana on the mound. But today is the day about the future of the Mets organization. All those trades that some people weren't okay with last trade deadline, where a lot of people were upset that the Mets kind of, threw in the towel. A lot of these guys are playing today. You're going to see Acuna. You're going to see Gilbert. You're going to see Clifford. Guys that are really supposed to be a big part of the future, specifically Drew Gilbert, Clifford, Acuna, and of course the Mets draftees like Jet Williams. Those are guys that I'm really looking forward to, but I really want to take a look at Dominic Hamill, who will be starting the game today. He is a guy that the Mets, if you look at the projections, he was supposed to be up with the team this year. Obviously, it wasn't set in stone, but this is the guy that is a real possibility that the Mets are going to take a good, hard look at, specifically this year. How good can Dominic Hamill be? There's a lot of thought that he can be a middle of the rotation guy. Some think he can be higher. It's going to be very interesting to see what Dominic Hamill can do today to maybe change some minds in the organization or even in some fans' minds as well. So before we get started talking about today's game, we're going to go over the pitching matchup, which I just told you about, and go a little further into that. And then we're going to go over the lineups for our New York Mets prospects and the Washington National prospects. So Dominic Hamill is the 14th ranked prospect in the Mets system. He was creeping up the farm system a little bit, but of course, with the trades that the Mets made last trade deadline, a lot of these guys got pushed back that was already in the Mets farm system. Guys like Alex Ramirez, Dominic Hamill, Christian Scott moved up, Mike Vasil moved up. A lot of these players moved above these guys, especially Alex Ramirez, a guy that I really think is going to make an impact. Specifically, he did in spring training, but this year, if there's an injury to Hader, if there's an injury to Marte or Nimmo, I would not be shocked if Alex Ramirez is a guy you can see maybe, I would say, May or June, or when there's an injury. I think Alex Ramirez is going to get a good hard look from the minors, because he did have a good spring before he got sent to a minor league camp. So that's another guy. Jackson Rutledge is a guy that you have seen, or at least he has pitched in the majors a little bit with the Washington Nationals. So he's a guy that you might have seen before, but he is one of the top prospects in the Nationals farm system. The Nationals have a very good farm system. We're going to look at their lineup in a little bit, but it's going to be a lot of fun today because this is something different, right? Win or loss really doesn't matter in this case. You want to see what everybody's talking about, right? Oh, look how good Jet Williams is at his short stature. His power that he shows, the speed that he shows, the glove that he shows defensively. Same thing that goes with Drew Gilbert, a guy that a lot of people believe, if the Mets are having a rough season, Drew Gilbert might be up in the big leagues in the middle of this season. And then you're going to look at Ryan Clifford, a guy that they really believe that could be a corner outfielder, but can also be a first baseman as well, and has tremendous amount of power and upside. Luisano Acuna got a tremendous amount of speed. A lot of people believe that he's not going to be like his brother Ronald Acuna with a ton of power, but they think that he can be somewhat of a 260, 270 hitter with a ton of speed, a guy that can hit the ball gap to gap, and he's obviously very good with the glove as well. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what we're gonna look at today with this lineup and with this game. You're gonna see a couple other guys as well that are probably much lower in the farm system, closer to the 30th ranked farm system prospect in the farm system. You're going to see a lot of that as well. So make sure you tune in, hang out, and let's go look at the lineup. So I'm going to pull it up real quickly, and we'll get the lineup ready to go. Just give me a second, and we'll be ready to go. There we go. Alrighty, guys. So I know it's small, but we're going to get through it. I promise. All right. So on the right corner is the lineups on the bottom. Obviously, the pitchers are on the left. So according to the lineups that we've seen right now, is what we're going to have at least for the first inning or two. So leading off is Jet Williams playing center field. Drew Gilbert playing right field, batting second. Luisano Acuna playing shortstop, batting third. We got Ryan Clifford cleaning up, playing first base. We got Kevin Parada batting fifth and catching. We got Alex Ramirez batting sixth and playing left field. We got Colin Hope DH and batting seventh. We got Jesus Baez playing third base, batting eighth, and Marco Vargas, the guy I talked about, playing center field and batting ninth. Again, Jesus Baez is the guy that a lot of people probably didn't have really look at. He is lower in the farm system. He's ranked in about 23, 24, depending on where you look. And Marco Vargas is the guy that we got for in the Robertson deal that the Mets really, really like. And he is considered a quote-unquote helium prospect, which is basically a prospect that they expect and project to fly through the farm system and be a guy that is going to run through the farm system really quickly and might be, in a year or two, be ready for a big league opportunity. He plays outfield. He could play a little bit of infield, but mostly outfield is where he's going to be. So it's going to be very interesting with this lineup. Again, a lot of the guys you probably heard of. Again, Baez and Vargas are guys that you probably haven't seen any at-bats or seen them in person before, except maybe a picture or, a little bit of a graphic that you've seen when the Mets signed him internationally or made a trade for him. But the other guys you've heard of, Ramirez, Hope, it was the guy that it was a Atlanta college player or high school player that was that everybody thought the Braves were going to take, and the Mets got him. He's a guy that plays a lot of field, but right now he will be DH. And of course, Alex Ramirez was a top 5 prospect in the Mets system not too long ago, but he has dropped down because he has struggled over the last couple of years. But I expect him to open up a lot of eyes the rest of this spring in the minor league camps and probably this game as well. Kevin Parada is the catcher that the Mets drafted 2 years ago that everybody believed, wow, they drafted another top catcher when they had Francisco Alvarez, a number 1 overall prospect in baseball. Why would they do that? Well, Kevin Parada can be a huge asset trade-wise if the Mets are in contention at the deadline, or this offseason if they really are looking for another piece, another arm, maybe another bat. They can actually use Kevin Parada in a trade. Ryan Clifford, a lot of the talk is about the Mets when it comes to the Mets circle, that this guy is going to develop into having a lot of power, right? He can play corner outfielder, but obviously he is playing first base today. He can play that as well. So if you notice a lot of these guys, what do a lot of these guys have in common? They got versatility, right? Jet Williams can play he can play second, third, short, center, left, right. So you got a guy that is the Mets overall number 1 overall prospect that can play basically almost every position on the field. That's important, and that's what David Stern's like. Drew Gilbert can play left, center, right. He's playing right field today. That's important. Luis Angel Acuna can play shortstop, second base, and possibly third base if possible. He played a little bit of center field, but not a lot. But again, a couple of positions, more versatile. Kevin Parada, obviously a catcher, but could play a little bit of first base. Alex Ramirez can play all 3 outfield positions. Colin Hoke is another one that can play second, third, and short. Jesus Baez is more of a shortstop third baseman, but he is playing third base. And Marco Vargas is another prospect in the Mets system that can play all 3 outfield positions. So you're getting a trend here when it comes to the Mets top 30 prospects, right? And the other ones you're going to see as well. About a couple of minutes, we're going to go over the rest of the roster that they have on MLB.com. It's a list that, you're looking at it, you're not going to see a lot of them at first, but you're probably going to see every one of them is going to get into the game. So if you give me a second, I will definitely pull them all up. So again, the trend of the Mets farm system now is versatility, right? We talked about the Mets having about 75 shortstops in the farm system. Well, those shortstops, because of their ability and their agility and just their just plain baseball IQ and the way shortstops are just athletic enough to move to other positions, that's why a lot of teams, and including the Mets, if you look, a lot of them are drafted as shortstops, but those are guys that can easily be moved to second, third, sometimes the outfield as well. So when some Met fans or some baseball fans complain, or at least Met fans in general complain about having 75 shortstops, Those are that's the one position where most of those guys move positions based on needs of the organization. So don't worry about shortstops, right? Hulk was a shortstop, Williams shortstop, Acuna shortstop. Like there's a ton of them, right? Jesus Baez was considered a shortstop as well, and you notice they're all playing different positions. So give me 1 second, guys, and we are going to get a little bit more of these guys. Give me a second. I'm just checking one thing, guys. Give me a second. I just want to make sure that they have it correctly. Check the Mets prospects. All right, here we go. All right, so we got Hernandez, Lugo, Marabito, Peroza, Reimer, Rodriguez, Thomas, and Tillian. So those are the other guys that are a part of the bench, which are the position players. You got Gervasi, you got Juarez, McLean, Ramos, Simon, Sprott, Stewart, Tidwell, and Ziegler. I think a lot of people remember Stewart, Tidwell, and Ziegler. The Mets are very high on Tidwell. Ziegler was one of the guys that I really thought that the Mets really liked. He had injuries over the past year and a half or two, so he's a guy that I can't wait to see as well. Tyler Stewart is another one that is another Mets top prospect that's probably about a year or two away. So it's going to be very interesting to see the rest of these guys, especially when the starting lineup starts to come out and the pitchers start to come out as well. Then you're going to have a really good idea of what these guys bring to the table. So SNY is starting their coverage just now. Again, the Mets top prospects against the Nationals top prospects. Let me just move this out of the way and set up game time for you guys, and we'll be ready to go. Alrighty, there we go. All right, so once again, guys, you got on the left, you got the pitching matchup to start the game. That's going to stay on there. Dominic Hamilton for the Mets and Jackson Rutledge for the Nationals. You got on the bottom right the Mets top prospects lineup, and you got the Nationals top prospects lineup. You got the Mets and the Nationals logo. You got my channel logo with the like and sub. And if you want to follow me on X, it is TMWR at NYM as well. So make sure you follow me there. But they are showing Jet Williams taking batting practice earlier today and all the other guys. So it's really a lot of fun. This is finally one thing Major League Baseball got right doing this. I mean, this is an idea that should have happened a long time ago, because the fans don't get to see a lot of these guys. And I think it's important to get to see these guys because of the fact that you don't really know about these guys. So they're showing the MLB top 100 prospects pipeline. The Mets have 4. The Nationals have 3. We got guys 45, 53, 66, and 77. So that's pretty good as well. But it is Gary Apple and Jim Duquette on the call. The Mets have a game with their big league grapefruit spring training game at 6 o'clock right after this game. So you're going to get double duty with Mets coverage on SNY. You're going to get the prospects game, the spring breakout game, and at 6 o'clock, you're going to get the regular players and the regular spring training game at 6. So make sure you hang on to SNY all day today. And if you're into baseball and we're dying for baseball, you got 2 games in one day, and you get to see your top prospects in the farm system. So once the game starts, so they're making this a 7-inning game. Now, it's minor league rules, 7-inning game, automated balls and strikes system, so batters will be able to challenge a balls and strikes. Pitcher re-entry is important. That is also happening as well. So the rules are going to be different from the Major League game. There's going to be an automatic strike system, so the umpire is not officially making a call. The automated system is telling the umpire if it's a ball or a strike. So that's going to be interesting to watch as well. That might be implemented in the game in the coming years. And pitchers can be re-entered into the game just to protect these guys' arms. So they're showing Ryan Clifford right now. 21 years old, 6'3", 230, lefty bat, tall, lanky. They're showing the bullpen right now. Dominic Hamill is warming up. Again, guys, this is going to be a lot of fun because this is something that I was excited about when they talked about this. And I will check out the comments in just a second, guys. Frank, how you doing? Duran, how you doing? Yes, but Vargas is playing center field. I'm sorry, not center field. I apologize. Thank you, Duran. That was my fault. I'm sorry. Yamid, yes. That was my boo-boo. He's playing second base. So that's my fault. He's playing second base. That's right. That is my fault. I do apologize for that. Just give me 1 second. Yes. So Marco Vargas is the utility infielder prospect playing second base today. That's my fault. That's a typo. That's on me. But Yamid, thank you for telling me that. Yeah, Meech, exactly. Hey, Rob, Meech, how you doing? Yeah, exactly. 5 guys could play shortstop, but again, shortstops are one position that usually the player that plays shortstop in high school, college are usually almost your best player or a guy that is versatile enough and athletic enough to move to other positions. And Brendan, yes, the game is on SNY, so make sure you tune into that. Well, Sanders, yeah, they're projecting him to be a big slugger, Ryan Clifford. So again, this whole Pete Alonso, interesting off season that's going to happen after this year is going to be interesting because I think they really like Ryan Clifford. But again, that's way down the road. Let's just see what these guys can do because again, guys, there's not a lot of spots on this roster for position players. Look, we can be quite honest about that, right? You would think center field and right field are up for grabs after this year. You would think maybe one infield position, maybe 2, depending on if Jeff McNeil might get traded at some point next offseason. But there's not a lot of spots for these guys to play. Lindor ain't going anywhere. Nimmo's not going anywhere. Alvarez is not going anywhere. So there's a lot of guys here that if they perform well and the Mets really don't have a use for them because the positions they play and the amount of guys that are actually playing the same positions that might be better than these guys, well, those assets could be trades as well. So you want these guys to perform to not only help us out in the long run with the team itself, but also with trades as well. So I think that's important as well. So I do apologize for the typo. Marco Vargas is not playing center field because Jet Williams is. Marco Vargas is playing second base. So right now, Michelle Margot is talking to Jet Williams. So let's listen in and see what he has to say.
Just like from one another, just going out there and playing our baseball.
Your natural position is shortstop, but you played a handful of games in the outfield last year. You even played in center field in a minor league game yesterday. What is the transition like playing infield to outfield?
I feel like it's pretty easy. I played outfield before in high school, so the transition wasn't really that bad. There's a little different parts. I think for me, outfield is almost more relaxed and everything. In the infield, you just have to always be thinking of what's going on and what's happening next. So.
What would you say is the biggest challenge when you're playing back-to-back games in different positions?
Probably just the early work that gets into it. We don't really know what we're going to play. I didn't know just until like a little bit ago I was playing center. So just kind of getting out there and getting some reads, and that's honestly the biggest thing is just getting that early work in and just getting the reads on the balls.
From a hitting standpoint, where does your plate discipline come from?
I would say just growing up, I just kind of had a good eye for plate. I never really swung anything bad. And then I would say the big is when I probably started getting into late high school years and then early pro ball is when I started seeing it. So I think just over time, just preparing and, just trying to get the pitch you want to hit. And then if it's not there, don't swing at it.
You started spring training with the big league club. How was that, and what impressed you the most about being in Major League camp?
Yeah, it was awesome. Just seeing those guys work, how consistent they are, the routines that they have. It's very special just being a part of that group. I think that I learned a lot from them and the aspect of just what they do on an everyday basis. And I was just very blessed to be a part of that.
So Jet Williams getting set to go as we are as well. Jet wants to make it to the big leagues.
All right, so they spoke to Jet Williams. In his brief minor league, he had 51 stolen bases, so he is a speedster. Again, they just talked about him playing multiple positions. was drafted as a shortstop, but can play almost every position except for first base and catcher. And who knows, he might even be able to do that if they gave him a chance. But he's playing center field today. Again, there is one typo on the lineup screen, and that is Marco Vargas all the way at the bottom at 9 is not playing center field. Jet Williams is. Marco Vargas is playing second base. All right, guys. So once again, you know the deal. If you've been with me before during a live stream during a Mets game, you'll have game day up as you see on your screen. You got the lineups on the bottom. You got the pitcher matchups on your left. A little bit different setup than last year. I just had game day myself and a little bit of information about the game on the bottom. But now I'm going to throw a little bit of the lineups. Again, it might look a little different during the season. I'm going to working on different colors, different graphics to just get you a better look at the lineups and the pitching matchups and all that stuff. So the game audio is going to start as soon as the game starts. So you get the live audio for SNY. You get game day on your screen, so you can follow in a lot of different directions. And of course, during commercials, you'll get instant reactions from me, and we'll talk about the inning. And here we go, guys. Dominic Hamill leading pitching. Here we go. Top of the first.
Hamill, 25 starts last year in Binghamton, Gary, 124 innings, only 108 hits allowed, 160 strikeouts. There's a 5-pitch mix.
Hamill first round pick, I should say, back in 2021 out of Dallas Baptist College. Was the Mets organizational pitcher of the year in 2022. That went foul back by Cruz. By the way, helped lead LSU to the 2023 College World Series title. He was picked as the best amateur player in America that year. And the Nationals really believe he is their next homegrown franchise positional player.
It's going to be in the big leagues very quickly. I love how Hamill's getting aggressive here, 97 miles an hour. You see the tick up in velocity out of the gate. He's normally 94 to 95. In a game like this, he knows there's 2 innings. You generally see a little uptick in the velocity.
Line in the center field and first hit of the game.
So Hamill's hung a curveball to give Dylan Cruz, the #1 overall prospect in the national system, a base hit up the middle.
57% of the time. And he throws from a bit of a low angle, allows him to get some rise on that fastball as James Wood steps in. 21-year-old from Bradenton, Florida. He's got plus raw power for the Nationals.
Another good fastball there by Hamill. Got beat by the breaking ball, the little slider, which is his secondary pitch. He also added a sweeping slider there last year that has kind of late bite and break. Didn't get to that yet. That's something to keep an eye on. That and a cutter that he's introduced this year.
That one up out of the zone.
So Hamill throws around 94 to 96. Not much higher than that. Occasionally get up to 97, but usually throws between 94 and 96.
It's the first half of a doubleheader. The Mets and the Nationals will meet tonight.
Ooh, nice. That's a nice pitch.
Well, the home plate umpire, as I mentioned, Mark Stewart, he's going to have a little less work to do today because we are using the automated ball strike system. Are you in favor of this, Jim, coming to the big leagues?
I am in favor of it. I had a chance to watch it last year in the Futures game. In the challenge system, if we end up using it today, a little bit first, I think it'd be exciting for fans as interaction. We throw it up on the scoreboard. Yeah, you get 3 challenges, and it's designed to challenge the pitches that are clearly balls.
Wood shuts it off.
Nice pitch inside there by Hamill. 97. He's had good life on his fastball early on. Our speed hasn't been that good yet. A nice changeup. Couple of pitches to go to Wood. Wood's got a guy that struck out about 280 times over the last 2 seasons. As first a Padre, he was in that trade
Right
to the Nationals for Minnesota. Yeah, but he has big time power.
Struck out 32% of the time last year, so they want him to cut down on that. Here's the 1-2 pitch now from Dom Hamill. And he keeps Cruz close over at first. Hamill just turned 25 years old.
3.86 last year in Double-A, likely slated for Triple-A series.
Ooh, nice pitch. Fastball got him looking. 1 out.
As Wood takes his seat, and then brings up the third baseman, Brady House.
We see that quick delivery, staying back nice. Big extension for that large frame. You see a good heater.
Cruz takes off and it's fouled away by House.
Campbell doing a nice job holding him over earlier, and so Cruz decides to run on first pitch there. Cruz is a guy that can steal 30 bats. He's that type of talent. 30 homer, 30 steals. Nationals, they're going to see him sometime this year.
Swung out and missed it. Campbell took something off it. I mean, as I mentioned a moment ago, the Nationals believe that he is their next Harper, Rendon, Soto. They think that highly of him.
When you pick in that spot, and I think he was probably the best pitcher, best position player, might be the best pick in the draft last year. Yeah, you need to hit those.
Slice foul down the first baseline. Well, he and his but he was awfully impressed yesterday.
Schemes throwing 102 miles an hour with a fastball to a changeup at 90 miles an hour. That face-off with Jackson Holiday, one of the top selections for the Orioles, was an epic one.
And another high fastball gets House. 2 outs. So 2 strikeouts for Hamill with fastballs. That letter high fastball is almost impossible to lay off.
97 up. Love how he sequenced that off of the curveball. Another strikeout.
So 2 down, 1 on here at top of the first inning. Up stands Yo-Yo Morales. Yohei Morales. He likes to go by the nickname of Yo-Yo. Second round pick in the draft last year at the University of Miami. Slated to begin this season at AA for the Nationals.
He's a guy that's been on the scene, the circuit, the national showcase circuit as a high schooler. Went down to Miami and performed really well. They were lucky to get him in that second round.
And Hamill ahead 0-2.
The good thing with Hamill here is he's been aggressive, coming right at hitters with that fastball, getting ahead in the count. It really allows him to set up those other secondary pitches. You know, the slider isn't quite as good as maybe the sweeper. And the curveball, we saw a good one there, had good potential. He's only thrown 1 so far.
Hamill, the 0-2 pitch. Guide into right field.
Oh, Gilbert don't see it. Now he sees it, and he does. So Drew Gilbert makes the catch in right field to end the top of the first. So 2 strikeouts for Dom Hamill, and the Mets are coming up in the bottom of the first. The Mets will be putting up Williams, Gilbert, and Acuna. Top prospects in the Met system. So we're going to get to see them bright and early in the top of the first. So I don't, there's a lot of guys on the roster, a lot of pitchers. I'm assuming each pitcher is going to get 1 inning apiece, I would think. I don't think much more than that. I don't think they want to blow these guys' arms out, obviously. So, yeah, I'm assuming you're going to see a pitcher an inning. That's the way I see it. So you're going to see a lot of moving parts. I'm assuming the starting lineup might get 2 at-bats, maybe, depending on, I'm assuming maybe like the Williams, Gilbert, Acuna, Clifford probably get 2 at-bats. We'll see. Yeah, and they only play 7 innings as well, so they're not playing 9 innings. So we got 7 innings. We got automatic strike and ball system. And I think they say you can bring the pitcher back into the ball game. So Mark, yeah, I think they would need to. I'm assuming they're gonna put everybody on the roster in the game. So I don't see why have a 27-man roster when you know that you're probably not going to use it, right? This is not a typical game, right? You want to showcase these guys. The whole point of this game is to showcase your best talent in your farm system. Yes, I know I'm breaking up a little bit. Sorry about that. Sorry, I know I'm a little shaky right now. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. Trying to work out the kinks. Yes, Hamill did look good. All right, so here we go, guys. Jet Williams is up in bottom of the first.
Back in 2019 as Jet Williams leads it off here for the Mets. He was chosen 14th overall back in 2022. I put the comparisons to Dustin Pedroia.
I love the energy that he has. He has a little swagger. I love the confidence that he has.
Rutledge took something off it. It's 1-2.
You see his minor league season last year. He had power. He had base percentage. He had stolen bases. He hit home runs on breaking balls.
Down swinging.
That was quick. 1 out.
One down. See that very often on the Jet. You know, last year he didn't chase much, right? Kind of over 100 walks. Only 4 teenagers since 1996 had over 100 walks. He was one of them.
He expanded his strikes zone a little bit there.
Maybe a little bit excited. I know he's looking really forward to this game today as Drew Gilbert steps in here for the Mets. University of Tennessee product as Rutledge pours in a first pitch strike. Gilbert coming over from the Astros in the Justin Verlander trade at the deadline a season ago.
Really performed well there when he went to Binghamton, including the playoffs. Played for Reed Brignac, who's managing the team. 325 batting average, 342 on base. Does a little bit of everything well.
Gilbert has driven in a couple of runs so far with the big club here in the spring.
One of the things he's working on is his power, driving the ball, finding counts to attack fastballs. See an aggressive swing there, but he got fooled on the off-speed pitch.
I would imagine there's adrenaline. All of these guys a little bit anxious today.
Sure. Well, and when you look at Jackson Rutledge, he was a big leaguer last year. He pitched at 3 different levels: AA, AAA, and majors. It wasn't great in major league, but he's 25 years old, and
Gilbert stays alive. You're right, Rutledge, 4 games in the majors a season ago. Let's get a look at the prospect profile here on Drew Gilbert. He is the number 2 overall Mets prospect. He figured to be in the Mets outfield. It's
pops that one up.
One into right field, Wood shading his eyes from the sun.
Oh, and he dropped it. Good hustle by Gilbert, running. But Gilbert couldn't see the ball at right field the last half inning. Wood, the same thing.
And you see coming in trying to block the sun with his glove and did it. Should be an error, but they'll probably give him a hit.
I would think it will be a hit because I don't think it touched his glove. No, I checked that. It's an E9.
All right, here's Luis Acuna.
So a sun-aided trip to second base here for Drew Gilbert as Luis Acuna plays shortstop for the Mets in this game.
Acuna has some aggressiveness to him. Really good bat-to-ball skills. Likes to hit the ball the other way. You see an opening over that right side. Let's see what he can do here.
Chops left side foul. Acuna coming over in the Max Scherzer trade.
AA before he came over in that trade there in Frisco. That's the Rangers AA. 453 slug, 377 on base. He had 315 on batting average. He is a legit infield prospect here for the Mets, playing shortstop today. Played a lot of second last year.
0-2 pitch. This is outside. Where do you see him in the big leagues, Jim?
It's a tough one because if you look at him as a guy that, the baseball instincts are something that he needs to continue to work on. There's been times where in big league camp he wasn't in the right spot when it comes to cutoffs and relays. So that's an area that.
Whoops.
Turned into second base, goes into center field, but Gilbert. Nowhere to go, so he's standing back in second.
No, if you're going to play shortstop, that's a high baseball IQ position, and you're looking for that in the minor leagues. And They have a lot of prospects, the Mets do, at the shortstop position. So they're trying them out there to see if that gets better. That's the best way to figure this out, is put him out there, play him out there. But I think he might be a better second baseman at the major league level.
2-2 pitch. And again, Acuna stays alive. Listen, shortstop is blocked here for many, many years to come. So that plays into the equation.
It really does. You know, I think in this game, you know, someone's got to play shortstop. You know, Jet Williams is playing center field. He's also coming up as a shortstop or second baseman potentially. But I do think that factors into that. And, you know, at some point, maybe at the AAA level, you'll see Acuna play mostly second.
Oh,
Can't take it in right field. Again, this time.
hits it to the warning track. Gilbert tags up the third, 2 outs. So, pretty good situational hitting. Put the bat on the ball, get the run to the third with 2 outs.
Knocked it down there. James Wood finally figured out the sun, but real aggressive. We talked about how good he is at hitting the ball the other way, Acuna, and there it is on display.
All right, Ryan Clifford is up.
Home run, but excellent base running there by Gilbert to move up the base.
This is Ryan Clifford now, who's at first base for the Mets in this game. Clifford is mad with raw power, also coming over in the Verlander trade. I mean, Gilbert was the one who got the headlines in that trade, and rightly so, but Mets have high hopes for Ryan Clifford. He was 11th round pick, so he didn't have quite the same resume and pedigree.
There you go. Got the 2-out RBI by Ryan Clifford down the left field line. And that is an RBI double for Ryan Clifford. This is a guy that when the Mets made that trade, I actually liked a lot more than Drew Gilbert. Even though Drew Gilbert is very good. But you see the left-handed swing, nice and level, right? Taking the ball right where it's pitched. And that's what you got to do. Put the bat on the ball. You don't always have to hit a home run to drive in runs. So, Kevin Parada's up. 1-0 Mets. Ryan Clifford, RBI, 2-out RBI double. And Parada first pitch. All righty, so that does end the bottom of the first, but not before Ryan Clifford, prospect that we got in the Verlander deal along with Drew Gilbert, gets the first knock of the game, gets the first run of the game. 1-0 Mets prospects. Ryan Clifford, RBI double. Ryan Clifford is a very interesting guy. You can see why there might be a little hesitation of signing Pete Alonso because of the fact of Ryan Clifford is a guy that can play first base and play it well and has tremendous amount of power. And you could see that he is a guy that likes to go the other way with the ball as well. But again, just saying for all the Pete Alonso, fan club, got to be careful what you say sometimes. But, these are guys that are getting a big look in the farm system. And Ryan Clifford is one of those big guys that has a huge upside. And the Mets weren't going to make that Verlander deal unless Clifford was in the deal. At first, the Astros were only willing to give up Drew Gilbert. And the Mets said, because the Mets weren't going to trade Justin Verlander. If you remember, at the trade deadline, what happened? The Mets it was T-minus not too many hours to go before the deadline. And you started to hear rumors that Verlander to the Astros. And then, everybody starts pulling up the Astros prospects. And you heard Drew Gilbert's name. But then you were hearing other guys as well. But there was a lot of talk that the Mets wanted Ryan Clifford in the deal along with Gilbert, or they weren't going to make the trade. They weren't trying or really trying hard to get rid of Verlander like they were Scherzer. So unless they got what they wanted, they weren't going to trade Verlander. They got what they wanted, and now Verlander is back with the Astros. So now they're talking to Joe DeMayo, and he's going to talk about the prospects here.
Showcase game to just show off all the young talent across the sport, and obviously in the confines of this game, the Mets prospects.
Yes, and it's always fun to talk about prospects with you because you're somebody who knows this organization.
Dom Hamilton is getting a second inning. Nice to see.
Leads off here for the Nationals in the top of the second inning. Dom Hamilton is still on the map. What's your overall take on the state of the farm system at the moment, Joe?
I would look at this system as an ascending farm system. And depending on where you look for public rankings amongst the sports, they're in the vicinity of a top 10 system in the sport. And to me, a lot of that is driven from the overall depth in the system. There's been times over the last few years where I rank the Mets prospects in the system, and you had like the Francisco Alvarez and Brett Beatty at the top of the list, then there would be a drop off. Now, when I was making my top 30 list that you can read at SNY.TV, there was guys at 29, 30 that did not make the cut. In other years, may have been closer to 19, 20, 21 in the system.
So when you look at the system now, Joe, as compared to before the trade deadline a season ago, no comparison in your eyes?
I mean, it's very hard to ignore the impact that the trade deadline on the Mets system overall. When you get to have 3 top 100 prospects to your system, like the Mets did with Luis Angel Acuna, Drew Gilbert, and Ryan Clifford, and then some other youngsters, Marco Vargas, Jeremy Rodriguez, Ronald Hernandez. When you add that type of talent to the system, it's impossible to ignore the huge difference.
All right. One out.
The last lines out to right here for the first out. If we can look at notable prospects, the Mets did pick up in trades.
Sorry, my cat's destroying my closet right now. What are you doing?
Overall overhaul of the system.
Well, yeah, and I love the Vargas and Hernandez trades, and Rodriguez for that matter. Andy, the farm director, we'll talk about him later. But I want to get you about that, Joe. When you look at those 3 guys, I mean, Vargas, I was told by the evaluator, he might be the number 1 prospect in the Marlins for position player. So now the Mets have who else out that group that stood out to you from people you talked to or what you've seen?
Marco Vargas is the one that stands out the most to me. He comes equipped with already plus plate discipline and very advanced back-to-ball skills for his age. And one of the advantages that the Mets had when they were scouting for trades at the trade deadline last year is Vargas and Ronald Hernandez, who were in the David Robertson trade, both were playing in the Florida Complex League. And the way that works is there's just a few teams that just play each other over and over. So the Mets were able to get eyes of scouts, analytics, player development guys, and they were able to really see these guys from both a data and scouting perspective. So having that insight makes trading a lot easier for a team.
First walk of the afternoon for Tom Hamill is Trey Lipscomb. Makes his way down to first base. Andrew Pinkney, the left fielder, up now for the Nationals. 4th round pick out of the University of Alabama. Above average bat speed is the way they describe him. We are not going to see today, Joe, either Christian Scott or Mike Vassell, who could be, they consider the top 2 pitching prospects in the organization. When you look at those 2 guys, they both pitched in minor league games yesterday. How far down the road are they from being in the big leagues?
I expect that you'll see both Christian Scott and Mike Vassell in the major leagues in 2024. Christian Scott is my top pitching prospect in the system, number 6 overall in my top 30 list. He has a 4-pitch mix with a pretty special fastball that will get up to 97 miles an hour. He has 2 distinct different sliders. He has that giant slider that kind of died down, and he added a sweeper this offseason, which has had results of in bullpen sessions and lives of north of 20 inches of horizontal movement. He also throws a split changeup, and what is huge is he has plus command. He can throw all of these pitches for strikes, and when you look and project ahead, as a guy that was drafted out of the University of Florida as a reliever, turned starter professionally, impressive for the Mets player development system, and I look at him as a potential future number 3 starter. As far as Vassell goes, he's my number 10 prospect in the system, and he was a top 25 player in the entire class when he was coming out of high school in Massachusetts. He decided to take himself out of the draft to fulfill his commitment to the University of Virginia, where they turned him into like a sinker slider pitcher. And when the Mets drafted him in the 8th round of the 2021 draft, they decided to make him back into that 4-seam fastball type of pitcher. He has a 4-pitch mix. Fastball will go up to 95, sometimes 96. Locates it pretty well. I To me, he projects more as like a back end type of starter. But again, you see what some back end starts are getting paid in the major leagues. That's an incredible value to have for an organization.
Hard hit ball to the right
All right,
side.
two outs.
That's where Marco Vargas comes on the first with the second down. His Lipscomb, who stole second base, now moves on to third. And so 2 down, man on third as TJ White, the designated hitter, steps up for the Nationals. I want to ask you this because we saw the steal there. Parada's catching. And it's been an area that he needs to improve on. He ended up giving up a ton of stolen bases last year, 29 stolen bases and 157 attempts, I believe, in so far. So what's the feeling within the organization on him and his development? I know in the fall league, when we talked to Reed Brignac, he seemed to play a little bit better there.
They definitely believe he has improved. Eddie Rodriguez in the organization, who works with a lot of the fielding and throwing. Kevin Parada has kind of become a pet project of his, really working on that throwing. But clearly, it is below average arm strength that they are working through. One thing to account for last year is he played more baseball than ever before in his life. We spoke to him when we were down in spring training after we did our live episode of the Mets pod at Clover Park. And the Arizona Fall League, he was playing baseball a week after the World Series ended. So Kevin Parada really played more baseball than ever. And the Mets believe they're going to continue developing him as a catcher. And they think his receiving has improved. And there's some hope on the throwing, which you've seen Francisco Alvarez implement some in big league camp. When there's a runner on and he's getting ready to throw, you'll see that he get down, which should help some of his top times to get the ball out quicker.
Campbell falls behind 3-1 here on TJ White. I know, as you mentioned, Joe, you were down here. You did your show down here with Connor. Was there somebody you saw in person that really opened your eyes?
So I would say Jet Williams. I know it's pretty easy, the top prospect in the system, but just seeing him, despite his short stature, thickly built, strong kid, and his athleticism really stands out. His ability to play shortstop in center field, and the Mets are also going to give him some run at second base this year. I think between those three positions, that is something that his athleticism really stands out. Plate discipline is double plus, like Jim had mentioned earlier. Over 100 walks this year.
And they tie the game.
Drew Gilbert out there in right field. They scored it's a double for TJ White, and it ties the game at 1-1.
All right, tie game. Hamill struggling a little bit here in the second.
But I think he looks the part of a prototypical leadoff hitter that's going to be able to get on base on a high clip. And I think he's got 40+ stolen bases in his future.
What about Dom Hamill, who we're watching this afternoon? What's your take on Dom and where he's at?
So I expect Dom to start with AAA Syracuse. He's a bit of a spin rate and analytics darling. Like you mentioned, that low slot really helps make that fastball run. His velocity is up a bit today, as you mentioned, likely due to the shorter nature of his outing. But generally, he'll sit 93 to 95. He's got 2 distinct breaking balls, changeup, working on the cutter. I think a lot of his pitch profiles are reminiscent of Seth Lugo, obviously a former Met. And I expect he's another arm that I think you will see in the 2024 season.
With nobody here, Darren Baker, the number 9 hitter and the second baseman for the Nationals, is up. He is the son of future Hall of Fame manager Dusty Baker. He went to the University of California. He's a Bear. He fouls one down the left field line. He's got good bat-to-ball skills. And when you think about Darren Baker, what do you think about Jim? Maybe the 20 JT Snow scooping him up series. Little kid. Yeah, the Jimmy Lofton, they hit out to right field. Once the bat boy back then went out, get the bat ahead of the play not ending, and JT Snow there, right, picking him up and bringing him off the field. It was the very young Darren Baker. Now he's a step away from the big leagues. 1-2 count.
It's going to be a tough play. And that ends the inning, but up for the Nationals tie the ball game. So a little struggle for Hamill in the second, but still looks pretty good. Again, a guy that will be starting in AAA, as Joe said. Again, he really likes, the short stature of Jet Williams. He's a 5-tool player. He's the guy that shows some power. He has tremendous speed. Can play shortstop in center field, which is not very common. And Easy brought up a good point. If he can be a poor man's Mookie Betts, Mookie Betts can play everywhere basically. He played right field, center field. He's playing shortstop for the Dodgers this year. So it's going to be nice to see where overall Jet Williams is going to transition to Major League Baseball. In my opinion, I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. I think he's probably plus defensively everywhere he plays. Obviously, naturally, a shortstop, that ain't happening. But it really does depend. If the Mets are having a good season, which some project might not happen, if the Mets do have a good season and maybe you need that one guy maybe to bring a little spark to the team, maybe it is Jet Williams who could play anywhere, right? You would want to bring up a guy, like if you're having a good season, that means a lot of you guys in your teams are having a good season. So you're not going to move a guy like Jeff McNeil to put Jet Williams. But a cornerstone of your team, maybe you put him there just to add a little spark. The Mets did that in 2015. We see exactly where the Mets are really going to see him. But I think it's going to be on necessity. Whatever the Mets might need. Look, if the Mets suck this year, you're going to see a lot of these guys. And regardless of the guys that are already in the roster on the Major League team, it probably wouldn't matter. You're going to see a lot of these guys. So here we go. They're still talking to Joe DeMayo and other prospects.
Versus what their floor may look like. Jackson Rutledge still out there. I take it back. They've made a change. Cole Henry is the new pitcher for the Nationals, facing off against Alex Ramirez, the 2019 international class, with a centered their class around that year. Joe, your overall feeling on, we saw a couple of pitchers in the top 10, a lot of position players there, but the overall quality and maybe the quantity of the pitching depth in the Mets organization right now, how would you characterize it?
It's improving drastically, and in my opinion, it's something that's not talked about nearly enough. Amongst my top 30 prospects, 12 of them are pitchers. We may not have a Paul Skeens type of prospect in the system who, if you watched the Pirates prospect breakout game yesterday, he was very impressive. But I think they have a stock of future big league arms. And at this point, a lot of them are getting close to Major League ready. I mean, we talked about Christian Scott and Mike Vassell and Dom Hammond. I expect all three of those pitchers to start at AAA Syracuse. And a couple other names that we should see pitching in today's game. Blade Tidwell, Tyler Stewart. Those are some pitchers that I expect to start with AA Binghamton. And then there's some exciting guys that are in the lower levels that are recent draft picks, like Brandon Sproat, last year's second-round pick out of the University of Florida. Nolan McLean, a two-way player who was a last year third-round pick out of Oklahoma State. I think his pitching is ahead of the offense right now, but the Mets will give him the opportunity to do both. And the overall development system headed by Eric Jagers there, and in the pitching player development side of things, it's taken a big step up over the last year, 2 years. And I think as we look at 2 years from now, 3 years from now, there's going to be a lot of pitchers making their way to the major leagues with the Mets.
One of the things we know, if you want to have the inside scoop on the Mets farm system and the organization, Joe DeMayo is your man. He is your man. He is the guru, as I like to say. Joe, tremendous insight from you. Great to visit with you. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks, Gary. Jim, enjoy the rest of this fun game.
Thank you, my friend. Joe DeMayo joining us. And he really does have a great beat on the organization, on the system, and everything that is surrounding some of these young players. So we're going to see in the big leagues in the not so distant future, as he pointed out right there. Alex Ramirez takes a call.
And Ramirez checks out. I really like Joe DeMayo. Like, it's not about the information that he gives with the known top prospects. if you really read in depth about the other prospects like the Marco Vargases of the world, the Jesus Baez, the Sproles of the world, the Tyler Stewarts of the world, guys like that, that you don't hear a lot of, except for like the top prospects. He really goes in depth in a lot of his reports on the lower level prospects as well, which is always important for a franchise in the depth. So I do like I had Joe DeMayo on 2 years ago to talk about the Mets, his top 10 prospect list. When Ronnie Mauricio was their number one prospect. So he does put a lot of good insight.
State of Georgia in the talent amateur level.
I agree, Easy.
Huge leap forward 10 years.
Easy. I went to a school in high school that was majority. It was minority. It was mostly minorities, right? I was the minority in my high school, right? There was maybe like 5 white kids in the school, and most of them played baseball. But yeah, it's a thing where when I was growing up, white, black, Hispanic, even Asian, everybody was playing baseball. Now it's not like that. And, because I think the inner cities now, unfortunately, are getting pushed towards basketball and football because you can get drafted and get to the pros right away. Unlike baseball, where you get drafted and 99% of the time you have to go through the minor league system, and that's a long road ahead before you can almost make your money. And I think that's the bigger problem with it now. I really do think so. I mean, a lot of the greatest players in baseball history are African American or a minority. So I think it's important for the inner cities to play more baseball. Like, I know a couple of kids right now, and they're doing a challenge right now. All right, we got a challenge.
And it's up on the scoreboard. It's very similar
Cool.
to what you see in a tennis tournament. No question, it must have been challenged by the catcher. And because there was a pitch that looked like it was off the plate, he called for the challenge. It was clearly a strike. And now Baez behind in the count 0-2. Reaches out, stay alive in the at bat. It does affect some pitchers more than others because it is a tight strike zone. The ABS system, it is, and they're calling those pitches that are in the corner. The umpire that down and away the right-handed hitters is a weakness for a lot of umpires.
And checks out Jesus Baez to end the inning. So a nice inning by Henry for the Nationals. Yeah, and it is a lot of things like you see in the Nationals, like Easy just said, like they actually have a lot of African American prospects. That I mean, it you notice it over the years, right? Clearly, right? The big Latin American population in baseball is the highest, obviously, right? The Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans. They're all over the place. Obviously, I'm missing a few, obviously, but a lot of South Americans, Latin Americans, all those. Yeah. But it's true. It's like if you really look around, just the youth sports, right? If you go around junior high school, Pop Warner, all those little leagues, like it's a fact. Like, look at the NFL right now. Like, what is it, about 85% African American? Like, they in basketball, the same thing. Like, they trend. I really think it's because of the fact that when you get drafted in baseball, there's levels to get to the pros, and a lot of guys. I don't know if it's listen, unless you really love baseball and play it early, it's very hard to get into it later in life when you're in high school. Like, it's hard to do that, in my opinion. So, once they see, like, oh, I can get drafted out of high school, I can get drafted out of, my second year of college and making millions of dollars, when the easy road is to go do that way. And I understand that. Listen, I'm not going to begrudge anybody for that, but it's like, that's probably the reason why, especially in the cities. And basketball is cheap, right? You get a basketball, you go to the park, right? Football is a little bit more expensive, but a lot of these Pop Warner leagues now actually have the payouts for you, at least around where I am, that I've seen around, and especially in areas that I've noticed. So we'll see. So we got Tyler Stewart on the mound for the Mets right now. Let's see what he does in the top of the third.
Guys, it's been reading reports and spending time asking a ton of questions, and watching guys like Tyler Stewart here. It's been a lot of fun for me to get familiar with.
Now to the right side. For a guy like Stewart, right, or Hamlin, what are you looking for in this? It is such a small sample. What are you looking for?
Yeah, I don't think we're looking from an evaluation lens today at all. These guys are competitors. I think Tyler Stewart's right at the top of minor league baseball in ERA last year. He's competed in big stages. And this is just a great exhibition opportunity for them. And they're still building towards the season, and just want to see these guys attack the zone and carry themselves like pros.
So as I mentioned a moment ago, as a former player, manager, coach, you bring a unique skill set to this position. So what is it that you think, Andy, is your strong suit that you can really add here as you try to build this organization?
Hopefully it's pulling the best out of people, because it's an opportunity to work with a lot of tremendous people within our system on all sides of the ball, from the hitting side, pitching side. And it's also like, I know what it looks like from a success standpoint at the major league level. And I think that perspective, I'm not the only one in our minor league system that knows that, but I know what it looks like in a major league dugout. I know how it's supposed to translate. And that relationship that Mindy has been unbelievable in building with me, and the major league coaching staff has been unbelievable in building with all of us in the minor league system. It's been really special, and I think that's ultimately where we can help close the gap.
Down to the right side.
So Tyler Stewart looks good so far in his two batters face.
Go ahead, Jim.
You know, I know, Andy, you and Andrew Christie are overseeing the minor leagues. You have an assessment of the minor leagues.
So they're talking to Andy Green right now, who is the bench coach for the Cubs 2020 to 2023.
How do you view the system in its strengths and weaknesses?
I think we're pitching heavy. I think we've done a really nice job over the last couple of years adding to that group, and even draft guys from last year, exciting guys to watch. You'll see a few of them today, which will be fun for the fans. And I just kind of like the overall vibe that Eric Jagers has built in that pitching group. The staff is really good, and I'm excited to continue to watch this pitch.
On the ground on the left side, Luis Angel.
Nice. So a nice 1-2-3 inning for Tyler Stewart. One of the guys that will be pitching in Double-A, along with Blade Tibble, that we'll see early a little bit in the game. But remember, guys, this is only a 7-inning game. So we'll see how many guys. I don't know if everybody's playing in the game. We'll see. But once again, the regular spring training games for the Mets, there's a game at 6:00 that is also on SNY. So make sure you tune in to SNY and watch that game as well. Easy Clifford is playing first base. Clifford also got that RBI double in the first inning with 2 outs. Went the other way. Again, you know, if you go back, and me, Nelson, Chris, Hayden, we done so many hours during the last couple hours of the trade deadline, and we were talking about it. Like, all the information was coming out that they weren't pushing to trade Verlander, but if they got what they wanted from a particular team, they would do it. And Drew Gilbert was the first guy that the Astros were willing to give up. The Mets weren't going to do that because they didn't have no problem keeping Verlander. If it was to trade Justin Verlander, who was pitching well at the time, didn't make sense. And the Mets says, all right, you want Verlander? We want Ryan Clifford. And it took a while for that trade to develop because the Astros weren't willing to give Clifford. And I think the Mets were going to back out of the deal. And then late in the trade deadline, they decided to do it. And the Mets got 2 of their top 5 prospects in the system because of it. And Ryan Clifford is projected. Obviously, projections are irrelevant, but right now they're projecting Clifford to be better than Drew Gilbert. And power-wise, he's definitely going to be better than Drew Gilbert. And he plays first base, and he can play corner outfield. All right, so bottom of the third, and Marco Vargas is up for the Mets.
And then you have to sprinkle on the fields, kids that grew up in the public, and Alex Ramirez, who signed for quite a bit of money. And it's meeting people where they are. It's communicating to them in their own language. It's speaking the language of the player. And I think as an industry, we've continued to improve, and hopefully, because the Mets are a lot better than everybody else.
Your philosophy, player development wise, when you see the rise of the technology, and we know that the Mets were behind for a while, and now since new ownership's taken over,
Blade Tillwell is warming up in the bullpen.
Speed up process has already taken place. You guys have a great, beautiful lab. You're down the right field line. You take hitters and pitchers in, but how do you balance that? What's your philosophy on the player development part of that too?
That's a great question. When it comes to the technology, it can be used in powerful ways to communicate truths that were always very difficult for a coach or a staff member to get a player to buy into. Now we can quantify those things. So in one sense, it's easier to get buy-in. In another sense,
at the warning track. So Marco Vargas gave it a ride to left center, but not quite enough. I agree, Frank.
This kid Vargas has really impressed since he's come over. I know you've seen him a little bit here. Pretty good poke there.
All right, top of the order's coming up. Jet Williams is up.
For 19 years old, he's got a high future.
Yeah, we're excited about him. We got Marco Vargas and Ronald Hernandez and the David Robertson trade last year. They came over from Miami. Those guys have been loving this organization from a coaching standpoint and from a tech standpoint, what's been available to them. The organization's made some really nice investments in giving guys everything they need.
Jet Williams bounced it back. He struck out the first inning. What's your thought process, Andy, on analytics versus field thinking?
I think it's going to be a balance. I think everybody's going to tell you it needs to be a balance, but what that balance is, everybody sees a little bit differently. I think it goes back to speaking the language of the player. You need a player to move them to a better place, and that's going to be different for Jet Williams and it will be for Marco Vargas. It's just different communicating with different guys, and you grow the appetite for the things that are going to make them better, and you kind of try to push them towards those things. And Jet doesn't need much pushing. He knows how to play the game, and he goes about it the right way. He's been pleasant to watch him play.
Another challenge here.
Another challenge, and it's probably going to be a strike.
Jet Williams, great idea. The
Strike three. Goodbye. Jet Williams strikes out for the second time.
There you go. After review, it is indeed a strike. Overturned. The pitch before, and it was outside. And Jet, I think, wanted to challenge it. He wasn't happy with the call, but he didn't challenge it. The next pitch, I thought, was maybe a makeup call under the old system, which is no ABS. But he gets run.
All right, Drew Gilbert, second at bat.
Very different from this in the last decade. The big leagues have been exposed to that, and it'll be something that'll be really interesting.
Oh, that's a shot. But got on top of that ball, and Wood runs it down. And that was a quick 1-2-3 inning for the Mets, 9-1-2 batters. But all Gilbert and Vargas hit balls hard, but didn't get anything down in the bottom of the third. So going to the top of the fourth, and it looks like Blade Tidwell is going to come into the game, another pitching prospect for the Mets, another one that is highly regarded, who's probably going to start in Double-A according to Joe DeMayo. So we'll see how he goes. Tyler Stewart pitched well in his one inning. Hamill pitched well to start the game in the first. Second inning, struggled a little bit with location, got hit a little bit in the second, but overall looked pretty good. Has 93 to 96 miles an hour fastball. Got a 4-pitch repertoire, which is good. I like a lot of pitchers that have multiple pitches instead of like a fastball changeup, fastball slider. But if you notice, a lot of the Mets pitchers have sweeper, have split change. So it's not the regular that you normally see, the curveball, the changeup, slider. You see a lot of the guys have sweepers, which is basically a slider, but it's kind of a slower version of a slider. The split change is the thing that it seems like the Mets organization wants a lot of these guys to learned to throw. Christian Scott has, Tyler Stewart, Hamill, and Blade Tidwell that you'll see next inning is starting to throw it as well. So the split change, usually it's a guy who has a changeup and they just split the fingers a little bit and throw it like a changeup, have a couple more fingers on the ball, and now it becomes a split change. And a lot of the guys seem to like the feel and they throw it. All right, guys, so here we go. We got Blade Tidwell in the top of the fourth pitching for the Mets.
What he's doing on the field. On the field, you won't find anyone that's more passionate about the routines as a pitcher, about keeping their arm prepared, protected, and ready. And the same thing goes for his body as well. An athletic body, a former really talented high school basketball player, and with that shows he can field his position very well. Tremendous stuff right out of the gate as a freshman for us. Could have been a draft pick out of high school, and the stuff only got better in his time here with a fastball for us that was low to mid 90s, sometimes a little bit higher than that. Excellent fastball command, which made him a starter right away. And complimentary off speed that improved as his time went on here at Tennessee. A curveball, a slider, and a changeup. Blade has also been known to experiment a bunch, so we'll see where he's at now with his pitches. But in my opinion, when he keeps it simple, he does pretty dang well because ultimately his best attribute is he is a true.
I like how they're talking to some of these guys' college coaches.
Yeah, and well, that's quite the report there on his former coach. And this is a guy that has tremendous upside. The fastball velocity is some of the best in the system. He has a chance to be a number 3 type starter. When you look at some of the depth of the starting pitching, Andy Green just mentioned to us that he thinks the strength is in their pitching. Tidwell, when you start to look at some of these guys, he's at the top of in terms of where he fits in the rotation. Now, it's 2 years away, probably 2025 before he gets there, but he's sitting up to the right side. This one by Julius, following up the hit by Yo-Yo Morales, who stays at second base. So first and second, nobody out here in the fourth inning for the Nationals. Here at 2 seconds. One was the fastball, first pitch that they went the other way, and then here he went to the breaking ball, down and in. It looked like catcher setting up away. He didn't locate it. I think that's one of those things that the Mets are looking for with him is the command overall needs work. So all those pitches, not unusual for this level. That's why they're pitching in the minor leagues. A lot of times that is just getting out on the mound, figuring it out. That's how you get better command. The more bullpen sessions, the more you repeat your delivery, all of those things that we kind of take for granted when we're watching major leaguers, they're working at diligently in the minors. Trey Lipscomb with 2 on here. That one misses. Count evens at 1-1. So Tidwell struggled early in the minors last season, but then his final 16 starts were impressive. The last 8 at Double-A Binghamton, he had the ERA a little bit under 3 with 103 strikeouts.
Should be a double play ball. And it is. Nice 6-4-3 double play.
As he tries to work his way out of trouble here in the fourth.
Cunha to Vargas to Clifford.
Which was a curveball. He got the hitter Lipscomb out in front, and that's a tailor-made double play. Little interesting turn there at second base for Vargas. Vargas used to playing more short, but he's learning that position to turn around. But that was tailor-made. Nice feed by Cunha. Blake Tidwell. Another challenge here, Jim. That was a slider that, to me, looked
another
like
challenge.
The middle, and they called it a ball.
And it's a ball. Hey.
I thought it was a strike for sure. And that's a ball. So the home plate umpire calls the game. He's calling the game, and then 3 challenges for each side. That's the system that Major League Baseball thinks is going to be incorporated at the major league level at some point over the next couple seasons. It's coming. They need to refine it. They need to figure out tracking it, the pitch accurately. It's through the Hawkeye system, which is a new system Major League Baseball's had for the last few years.
Count goes to 3-0. That's a nice frame job there by Parada. So, Parada, we talked earlier about that's something that defensively that he has improved over the second half of last season. Earlier in the game, Hamill was having some trouble with his command. He went out to talk to him. That's good. Leadership skills, those are all the things that evaluators are looking for, player development guys are looking for as a catcher. And he has shown that. Andrew Pickney works a walk. So first and third with 2 outs as usual. The Rebels were being over third base. The other thing on Parada, the first year or so you're in the minor leagues, it's not easy. Even though you're a college guy, he was a Georgia Tech kid. Everybody in the sport thought that picking him number 11 was a steal. And he has a down year, an ankle injury, and he all of a sudden falls down on the map a little bit. First to hit the first run, and the only run this afternoon for the Nationals with a double in the second inning. Like he was out in front on it, just foul. But back to Parada, here's the pitch there, and man, that is scorched. It probably would have been 2 runs easily, but just foul. So Parada, I left the Orioles after I left the Mets. We drafted Matt Wieters. He was the number 4 pick. He was a catcher out of Georgia Tech. Everybody thought he was going to be power hitting catcher. You know what it ended up being? A really good defensive catcher. He got 10 years in the big leagues. Nice quick move. Pickney just diving back in time. The point is here with Parada is some guys, it takes a little bit more time for them to figure it out before they become good minor league players and consider it the major league level. I think that's the case with Parada. That one misses outside. Count evens at 1-1. It really is different for everybody, Jim. Sometimes the bright lights of professional baseball can be daunting for some guys, as good as they've been in the minors. Yeah, he was a kid, I should say, in college. In college, he played, at the top program in the country.
This White kid is pretty good. Second RBI of the game.
Trots in and Washington takes a 2-1 lead.
Real deal, how you doing?
Command hasn't been quite there. Setting up and away, it's more down towards the down and middle part of the field. TJ White, really 2 good approaches here on the game. Had the double earlier, and now the base hit single, and that's up 2-1. So first and third again with 2 outs as they went to third on the single. Here's Dusty Baker's scouting report on his son, Darren, who grounded out to shorten his first at bat. As I mentioned, high baseball IQ, that's no surprise as the son of one of the great managers the game has really ever seen. No, and he's been around Dusty, he's been around major league clubhouses. Here's a guy who maybe the skills didn't translate into a top draft, but that he's been around the game enough, and he's learned from one of the best in Dusty Baker, future Hall of Famer. Dusty was a very good player, too. Got it to the right side.
All right, so that ends the top of the 4th. Nationals take the lead. 2 RBIs from White, the Nationals' top prospect. So bottom of the 4th, the Mets will have up, I believe, let's see, who would they have up? Let's see. Give me a second. When it transitions, we'll be ready to go. It'll be Acuna, Clifford, and Parada, unless they change it up a little bit over the next few. 7 in a game today. Nationals lead 2-1. Hamill looked good for 1 inning, shaky to second. Tyler Stewart looked good in the 1 inning, and Tidwell had a little issue with control and got hit a little bit, giving up the breaking up the tie game. But Tidwell is another one that's on the level of Christian Scott, where their stuff is probably top of the line. Consider where so Tidwell and Scott are the cream of the Mets farm system as of right now. But we'll see probably another. And then I guess the last 2 innings you'll probably see, or 3 innings, see the rest of the bench that will probably show up. So I do apologize for the kind of in it for some reason. A little get it going a little bit better. We'll be all right. We're going to the bottom of the national.
Never made it to the mix. I think if I'm mistaken, 3 overall. Never advanced.
Game now for the end.
Tell you what, we felt so much pressure.
Frank, I mean, you said that about everybody. So
really wanted to get that one right. We thought he'd be the #1 starter for a long time. But Roger. DJ Hurd, the left-hander, 23 years old.
And Acuna strikes out.
Acuna goes down looking for out #1. Tough pitch there, a little change up, down and away from Burgers, and then blasted back when you drove one to right field. That was another one that looked like he was a little up front on. Thought it was off the cliff. Burgers, an 8th-round pick of the Cubs back in 2019, is Ryan Clifford, who doubled and knocked in the only run of the day for the Mets so far. In the first inning, steps in.
I'd like to see this at bat from Clifford against a lefty.
Clifford had a tough time there in Brooklyn. It's a tough park. If you're a left-handed hitter, wind blowing in from the hard to hit the ball out there, right center field. That is tough. And let me challenge here, by the way, Jim. And the call was upheld because it was low down the zone. Okay, so that's 2 that have been upheld, I believe. Correct. And this is a good test for Clifford. You want to see left on left. You don't, in the minor leagues, you don't get a lot of good left-handed pitchers for left-handed hitters. And so it's a difficult test in the player development system to know if a left-handed hitter can really hit left.
Swinging 3-0.
Clifford, the green light on
And throws a slider on 3-0.
You see Clifford as more of a first baseman or an outfielder. I think that's the fascinating part. I look at him and I watch him move, and it looks like he's more of a first baseman. But he could be, and I'd like to see a little bit of him in the outfield. I think profile-wise, he would be more of a left fielder. He's not that speed guy that you see with Gilbert or obviously Jeff Williams. Good eye there. It's a Clifford for the second time today. And again, he came over, but the Astros in that trade for Justin Verlander. Drew Gilbert was the marquee name, but Clifford is somebody who does profile as a guy that's going to play in the big leagues. I really like him here. I like it. Everything about him and his approach. Guy that I think will have 30 home run power potential. Emma gets away as Clifford scampers down to second, so the Mets have a runner in scoring position here in the 4th. So it's going to be called a wild pitch. I didn't think it hit the dirt, but either way, Clifford, nice read, gets the second. That's what Parada can do here. He swung first pitch last time up on a slider, just popped it up to the infield.
Nice piece of hitting. That should tie the game. Kevin Parada with an RBI single to tie the game in the 4th. Nice piece of hitting the other way.
So good piece of Kevin Parada. Well, that's what you love there, right? So lefty, you look more away at the plate. He takes the ball well the other way. Doesn't try to overswing like he did that first at bat. He delivers a nice base hit the other way for an RBI, and all of a sudden his day's feeling a little better. Yes, it is. Second hit of the afternoon for the that. Sperata with one of those hits and Clifford the other. Alex Ramirez, who struck out in his first at bat, struck out looking. Once again, we'll play 7 innings here this afternoon. No matter who's leading in the 7th inning, we will play the bottom of the 7th. This is a showcase game, so people want to see all of these young players. See a 92-mile-an-hour fastball going right by Alex. So, in that particular swing, and the bigger swing looked like he was trying to hit the ball out rather than just staying within himself. Now more of a defensive 2-strike approach. So, again, you're seeing with Ramirez, they like him. He has tools. They put him on the 40-man roster this winter. Still a young kid, though, only 20 years old. And, the hit tool is something that he's going to have to work on here. I'll say this. He might end up back in Brooklyn, which would be his second season, I think. I remember back when I was running the minor league, Angel put me on. Sure. Played 2 seasons in Brooklyn, helped win a championship there, and he turned out to be a pretty good field.
Hit it hard, but right at the left field.
Second out. That's who Ramirez reminds me of a little bit. First of all, I like the fact he came at it 2 strikes, battled, stayed with it, off a tough pitch, and then that one up in the zone a little bit, puts a really good swing on it, hard hit ball to left field. You don't get a hit, but you get some credit for hard hit. I'm with you on that. It's Colin Houck. His second at bat of the afternoon, he struck out looking in the second. Will turn 20 years old until September the 30th.
I agree. They hit a lot of hard hit balls.
Made friends with the area scout for the Mets, Marlon McPhail, who drafted Colin Houck, and he said, "What is there not to like about this kid?" He loved him, his tools, and especially he talked about his makeup. He said, when he get the pro ball, he played in the minor leagues for the Mets, went to Cornell. He said about Houck, he said, he's a guy that when you need to make adjustments, he will. He's very coachable and make the minor adjustments he needs to, and he's going to definitely work at it. And they've seen that. Andy Green told me yesterday they tried to send him home for a little bit because he'd been down here so long he did not.
There's a base hit by Houck.
So Colin Houck, his first hit of the afternoon, Veronica was on the second. But you think about Houck, here's a guy who's a 3-star quarterback in high school as well. So very talented athlete. But now he's really focused in. Yeah, there's usually some development that is lacking because they play 2 sports, right? There's that specialization that we balanced for a long time. But for him, the fact that he played football is a good sign. That's that toughness that you like to see for football. There's a toughness, a mental toughness you have to have in baseball too. Nolan McLean's another one. They have a couple of guys that have been 2 sport guys that are now in the leagues focusing solely on baseball.
Right at the center field, another hard hit ball right out of a fielder, but the Mets tied the game with a Kevin Parada single, RBI single. But again, this is, it's nice to see these guys because you don't see a lot of them on a regular basis. You might see a little bit with Syracuse. When you get into single A, rookie ball, like a Marco Vargas, you don't see them at all because they're playing rookie ball. They're in the instructional league. That you never see that are basically playing in the backfield. So, a guy like Marco Vargas, it's nice to see him on TV. A guy that we got for Dave Robertson in the trade. So we're going to the top of the 5th. They will play a full 7 innings regardless of the score because this is a showcase game. So you're gonna get all 7 innings. We'll play about regardless of the score. So we'll get 3 more innings for our youngsters. It's going in and out right now. It's been choppy all day. I don't know why, but you will see the rest of the guys there soon. Everybody gets to probably see more than that the starting lineup. You're gonna see a lot of other guys as well. Probably the next 3 innings. So make sure you hit on that like button. The more likes you get, the more this has. Yeah, the 2. Gotta be I. Ryan Clifford, gotta be I. That's the New York Mets now.
In Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Nolan McLean,
McLean is the new pitcher.
23,
for the New York Mets,
draft pick 3rd round.
6'4", 200
Projected to be in the big league. That's hard throwing McLean.
Spring, electric fastball, probably has the best fastball velocity of any pitcher that the Mets have. This is another 2-sport guy that we were talking about earlier. High 80s.
Christian Vaquero is the new batter for the Nationals here, replacing Dylan Cruz atop the National
Nasty.
League. Pitch there by McLean for the first down.
Going 98, 99 and throw it a tight slider inside. Nolan McLean.
Pretty easily on 3 pitches.
Woo.
So as you mentioned, this is a very talented guy, Jim, not just a multiple sports star. He can both pitch and he can hit, and they're going to give him a chance to do that. They say he's got light tower power and a fastball to go with it at 98 miles per hour.
On the scouting scale, light tower power is either 70 or an 80. 80 is the top of the scale, and that's where he has in terms of potential. And the challenge for the Mets is he can move faster as a pitcher because his stuff is so good. He might end up being a number 3 or 2 type starter pretty quickly.
Quick 2 outs.
Quickly, it's the second out here, top of the 5th inning. Let's go downstairs. Here, Reed Brignac, who's managing this Mets team, is joining us from the dugout. We're good to see you, Gary Apple, along with Jim Duquette. Hold on a second. I heard the headset is not functioning properly. Stand by. New headset coming for Reed Brignac, and we'll get back to him in a moment.
Just keep going on McLean. Like, he had a tough decision too.
Ground ball. Oh, nasty hop.
That one sneaks by over at third base. So a runner on for the Nationals here in the 5th. First pitch swinging there on the off speed, and the ball that took it in between third baseman Baez got caught in between there. So that's ruled a signal. Let's go back downstairs. Reed, I think you're on the right headset now. You with us? I'm here. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So, what's been your overall feeling about what we're seeing here today and the initiative by Major League Baseball to have these spring breakout games?
I think it's a great thing for organizations to be able to showcase their talent and for these players to come out and play in front of some fans and play a competitive game.
Reed, we were talking even before the game about your team last year, the opportunity to get to the postseason, and you had that as a player in Tampa's organization. You talk about the importance of trying to win at the minor league level. There's a lot of reasons to try to win there in the minors.
Yeah, I think it's
Steven, as always, good luck to your team as well. Happy baseball season, buddy. All right, so that was a quick inning from McLean. You saw that nasty slider and that high-rise fastball. So we're going to the bottom of the 5th. Mets Nationals tied at 2. Once again, guys, don't forget it is only a 7-inning game. They will play a full 7 innings because it is a showcase game. The score is irrelevant in this game. It's more about showcasing your top prospects, obviously. But don't forget, 6 p.m., the real spring training games are back. And the Mets are playing the Astros, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're playing the Astros. Let's see. Are they? Yeah, they're playing the Nationals again. Tricked you. but there will be another game at 6. So they're still talking to Reed Brignac, who is the AA Binghamton manager, and they're talking to him now. Let's listen in.
So I'm sure there's some second action. But it's a high quality at bats. Doesn't really chase outside strike zone. Texas walks. It's impressive for a young man at 19, 20 years old to walk over 100 times in a minor league season. It's impressive. So just continue to work on those things, and we're excited for his future.
I want to ask you this, and again, Jim and I had a chance to visit with you before the game, and you talked about the importance of winning in the minor leagues. A lot of times we think, okay, you went with the major league level and you want to develop the minor leagues. Do you believe building those habits are a little deeper on that?
Yeah, I just think it's very important for minor league players to experience postseason baseball. It's just it's a different energy. It's it's a lot more pressure and to win, and the more opportunities we can get our players in those games and those fields, so they can understand how to control their emotions, how to get up prepared, and it's just a building block to help them win games at the major league level.
You had Gilbert and Acuna last year too. What'd you see out of them in that short period?
All right, so you're gonna see
they came in right at the
Marco Vargas, probably his last at bat. Bottom of the 5th.
Excited to be there, excited for the opportunity. They both played really well. They helped us finish the second half, and we made a nice run in the postseason because of their contributions.
Reed, we thank you for spending a few minutes with us, and our mistake on the headset.
It's all good. Next time we'll get right. Thanks, guys.
Enjoy the rest of the game. Thank you. All right, Reed Brignac joining us from down inside that Mets dugout. As we go here to the bottom of the 5th inning with the game tied at 2 apiece. That one sliced down the left field line, and it goes foul.
This matchup is a really interesting one for the Bowman side because here you have Jerome Susana, who was traded for Juan Soto, a 5-player trade. He's only 19. He's thrown 101 his fastball already. And you have Vargas, who's also 19, trying to hit 101. And it's one of these things that's hard to match these things up in a minor league setting. So in this one, in this exhibition, you get to see it and see how Vargas responds, having to hit this type of velocity.
Back so far today, Susana, again, as Jim mentioned, big guy, 6'6", 235 pounds.
Wow, 103 miles an hour.
It's a little different these days.
Jesus.
Trying to prepare for velocity.
My
Even at
Lord.
the minor leagues, the velocity guys are out there and they're everywhere. You can do it here, even with high-end pitching machines. That's how it's one of the ways that they prepare their hitters to hit this type of velocity. Vargas works out a walk. Susana's a guy who's thrown it up to 103 miles per hour. So again, he really can't bring it. He's just one of the sleeper prospects that the Nationals got in that trade. He was a guy at the back end that was kind of thrown in to some degree.
All right, now we're going to see different batters. Morabito in the game.
That's Nick Morabito pinch hitting here for the Mets in the 5th. He replaces Jet Williams atop the Mets lineup. Vargas leads off first, and that one's in there for a called strike.
Every starter was going to get 2 at bats, so that's where Jet Williams is. So he'll exit on the day, and Morabito comes in. The guy puts the ball in play and a batting average over 300 last year in the minor leagues.
When it comes to Susana, I think the key is for him command with a guy that big and that strong. Can he harness it as Morabito goes down swinging? That's the first down here at the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, that is a firm fastball. You need to really shorten your swing on it. You know, there's a little bit of, I would say, Kenley Jansen here in Susana. I don't know if he has a cutter like Kenley does yet, but the big physical presence that you see on the mound with Kenley Jansen. You can see a little bit in Suzanne.
Ryland Thomas is the new batter for the Mets.
Ryland Thomas.
He replaces Drew Gilbert. 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, no errors for the Mets.
Got a nice scouting report out of Reed Brignac before the game out, Ryland Thomas. Really good back-to-ball skills. 328 last year. 3 outfield positions. You can play them all well. So you get together all parts of his game. They'd like to see him a little bit more. So we'll just see him during the course of the season try to improve in that area. That's one of the big differences still in minor leagues. You want to win, but you also want to develop those skills and get them learning how to steal. When's the right time to steal for the green light to see if they can learn on their own when the right time to go it.
Vargas leads off first. He takes off up the middle.
Nice at bat. First and third, 1 out. Nice up the middle hit with that high velocity fastball right up the middle.
Say it was a run and hit situation rather than a hit run. So, the shortstop go to cover the bag on the steal, and the ball still get by him. Thomas had something on it. Skip by him into center field, and Vargas didn't skip a beat, ended up on third.
Well, warming up in the bullpen for the Mets, we expect him to be up next on the mound is Brandon Sproth.
He might be the most exciting arm in minor league camp right now, so don't go anywhere on this one. He's getting loose a touch 100 today, most likely. Susanna here for the Nationals been throwing that a little different from Sproth.
Jeremy Rodriguez is the batter with first and third. And
Nice piece of hitting. There we go. Another acquisition at the trade deadline this year.
Opposite field approach there for Rodriguez, a young kid goes the other way. Nice face hit there in the left center field. Really impressive base running there by Thomas to get in there to third, but he was able to get in there safely.
That's who the Mets got for Tommy Pham.
So the Mets are taking the lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning. They've got a chance to do more damage with second and third. And just point out the infield playing in.
Rodriguez got the second on the throw, so that was a good aggressive base running there. Vincent Perazzo is the new batter.
Vincent Perazzo is batting right now.
Deep right fielder batting practice. Let's have a really interesting depth. Good problem to have when it comes to catchers. It's not just Parada. Obviously, Alvarez is going to be here for a long time, but yeah, Ronald Hernandez, who they picked up in the trade. Yeah, Parada, who's a little bit further down, and then on the international side, we signed this kid Giovanni Rodriguez, gave him over $2 million, almost $3 million. It's very hard to find. It's the future is right here with the Mets.
Giovanni Rodriguez, a Venezuelan signee.
Minor leaguers were gushing about his ability as a young
Easy,
player.
maybe.
He was 17 and not in this game.
Oh, that's going to drop in. And that's another run, 4-3.
Stopping over at third is Rodriguez. Perozo start off.
So it's the bench mob getting the job done.
On his hands, he got wanted to head to it, and that's how he didn't even get to the outfield grass on that one. But he'll take the hit and the RBI. Rodriguez advances to third. There's 12 of his first 13 pitches in this inning were triple-digit pitches. But yet the Mets have put up a 2 spot here. They've got a chance to get more.
That's why it doesn't matter how hard you throw.
Pitch to get the hitters off.
You can't locate your pitches or get them where they are, and the guys can put the bat on the ball.
Yeah, it's 100, but I don't have to worry about the pitch, at least right now. We're taking advantage here with 3 hits.
All right, Ronald Hernandez. He is the second prospect that was in the David Robertson deal, along with Marco Vargas.
Hernandez, excellent plate discipline. Double plate discipline is the scouting report. He swings at the first pitch. Speed, they're done. Off speed at 86. I think pitcher coach came out today. And then threw 102. Other than the fact that doubles. Yeah. Once again, Hernandez came over in the trade for David Robertson, along with Marco Vargas. He's a switch hitting catcher, strong command of the strike zone. It's down here in the complex league at a 476 on base percentage, gaudy number down here in this league. It's not normally a good hitter's league in these big ballparks. 17 years old, trying to hit the ball out of here really hard. Eventually, what the Mets are going to look for out of him is some power. You see, strong kid, but hasn't really developed. He's a young kid, obviously, but I think this is a really good scouting and player development trade that was done by the Mets when Billy Epler was still here. Hernandez, just 20 years old, the mighty cut, and he goes down swinging at a third strike. They had all the metrics down by playing down here in the complex. But we got to see him a lot because he was with they play a lot against each other during the course of the spring. And both departments came to Billy Epler saying, you got to get him. He's got to be part of this trade, this David Robertson trade. And, you know, having a player development and scouting system that is together, it's hard to get. And that's where the Mets have been better in that area over the last 3 years. Alex Ramirez over 2 on the day, struck out the second and flied out to left field in the fourth. Mets have taken the lead here with 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning to lead the Nationals 4-2. RBI singles for Rodriguez and Barroso. Now Susana going out to the breaking ball. He's thrown 3 of them swings here from the Mets hitters. They had to gear up for 100. Now he's throwing 87 on the slider. There is considered somebody in the organization with raw power. It's just a matter of fact of harnessing that power, developing a young player. The first thing you want with a young hitter is the hit tool, right? And usually the power comes a little bit later, especially for players who come from Dominican Republic and Venezuela. They haven't quite developed yet. And the strength that it takes to hit for power. But you're looking for good bat-to-ball skills. And you know, Ramirez, prior to last year, had that. He had a down year last year. He's looking to rebound. Susana behind 3-1 to Ramirez. Does he keep his swing? No, he does not. So the count goes full at 3-2. Just another tough slider there, 3-1. Pitch was off the plate, and he was geared up. I thought it maybe held there. What do you think? I thought he did it well. First base umpire didn't see it that way, and so the count does indeed go full. Can't challenge the check swing still. Maybe that's next. We don't want to slow the game down too much, Jim. We're finally getting it sped up.
Well, and that ends the inning, but the Mets get 2 in the bottom of the 5th, going to the top of the 6th. So you're going to see a lot of other players now. Right now, you're going to see Brandon Sproat pitching for the Mets, a guy that Jim Duquette talked about, throws extremely hard. He throws in the upper 90s, touching 100. So pay attention to him. We'll see what he can do. Again, with a lot of these high-velocity fastball guys, you want to see location. That's the most important thing. Because a lot of these guys have great arms, but they can't pitch, and they're basically a hard thrower that can't locate. And you're not really a pitcher. You're just a guy that's playing catch. So we'll see what he's got, but the Mets lead 4-2. The bench mob prospects are getting a job done to give the Mets a 2-run lead, going to the top of the 6th. Once again, they will be playing a full 7 innings regardless of the score. Showcase game means his scores don't matter. You just want to get everybody involved in the ball games. So once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. You're watching Mets versus Nationals, prospects versus prospects, the spring breakout game, and new addition to Major League Baseball spring training, which should be a yearly thing. Finally, Major League Baseball actually did something right and put this together. It's great for the fans. Okay, Cliffords, guys like the Jesus Baez, the Marco Vargas, the Brandon Sproat, Blade Tidwell. You don't see them enough. You just don't see them. Now you get to see them live in the flesh and actually playing baseball. So Brandon Sproat is coming into the game for them.
Downstairs right now, let's welcome in Michelle Margot. She's with Drew Gilbert.
All right, talking to Drew Gilbert.
Drew, first Mets spring breakup game. What's this experience been like for you?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Anytime you get to come out here and compete, especially with a group of guys like this, it's super fun. And
with your hair on fire. I spoke with one of your college coaches after you got traded over here, and he said that you have an off-the-field personality that's much more mellow, laid back, always joking around. So where do you find that balance?
yeah, I think you kind of have to, especially when you do this every day.
Quick strikeout by Sproat.
And you're at the field for a pretty good amount of time. When I go home and I have to do, kids like Jack Williams and Louis Sanho, they throw stuff at me. I try to be as calm as I can.
Another one of your teammates, Blade Tidwell. You played with him at University of Tennessee. You also played with him on Team USA. Now you guys are together with the Mets. So what has it been like going through all this together?
Sure. I mean, like you said, early college, and we've been pretty good friends ever since. So it's definitely really cool to be in the same organization with him. And it's just nice to have somebody that you've known for a while too.
You were in big league camp for the first part of spring training. That Harrison Bader had.
We were just talking about. First of all, obviously Harrison is he's been in the league for a while. He's a Gold Glover, so anytime he starts talking, I'm definitely gonna be listening. So we were just talking a lot about just take care of your body and some of the things he's learned throughout his time. And I was really thankful he took time to talk to me. He did not have to do that, so it was really cool.
We are thankful that you took the time to speak with us. Thank you so much, and congrats on your first ever spring breakup game.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.
All right, guys, we thank you both. And by the way, Brandon Sproat, who is on to pitch for the Mets, he has been lights out.
Brandon Sproat, did you even know there was a top of the 5th inning? He came in, says, I got this, and walked off the mound. So, the big performance so far with Brandon Sproat throwing 98 and a nasty slider and shut him down 1-2-3 rather quickly. So, very interesting to see. But nice to see a guy that throws that hard. Location was there. Everything was there. So, Brandon Sproat kind of showed everybody what he's got. And the Mets are high on him. He's about 1.5 years away, so we won't see him. But you never know. Guys can jump through the farm system rather quickly. So bottom of the 6th, Mets lead 4-2. Going to see a couple of more bench guys coming off the bench now and added to this lineup. So the Mets bench mob prospects give the Mets a lead in the bottom of the fifth. Now it's going to be bottom of sixth. And there's going to be a couple of more batters over the bottom of the sixth and bottom of the seventh for the Mets. So you get to see the rest of the prospects on the roster. All right, guys. So if you haven't hit that like button yet, please do. Once again, the Mets play the Nationals official spring training game at 6 p.m. So make sure you tune into that as well. Once again, guys, make sure that during the season, me and Chris will be doing the Amazing Mets pregame show. Every game prior to the game, times will vary based on when the Mets play. Opening day, we're working on the time. I'll be at Citi Field. So, and Chris will obviously be tailgate in the parking lot somewhere. I'll probably doing the pregame from my car. So it'll probably be much earlier than when the game starts, like a few hours before. So because I'll be, obviously tailgating and at the game. So here we go, bottom of the sixth, 4-2 Mets, and we'll see the rest of the bench pieces coming up. Junior Tillian.
Good breaking pitches too. That's the interesting mix of pitches that he has. It's really excited about him as a potential future starter. 3-pitch dominating. He is a tool shed of stuff.
Be a base hit.
Nope. That's out number one. Let's go downstairs. Michelle, once again.
Thanks here with Ryan Clifford. Ryan, we just spoke with your teammate Drew. First ever Mets Spring Breakout Game. So how's this experience been so far?
It's been great. It's a lot of fun. And we had a great group and we're all pulling for each other. And, we're really excited to be here. It's been fun so far.
One of your most well-known strengths is your raw power. We saw you demonstrate it earlier in the game with a double. What aspect of your game are you most proud of?
For me, I just want to go out there and be a team guy. Anything I can do to help the team win, I want to play any position it takes. Obviously, offensively, do what I can to help score runs and go from there.
From a defensive standpoint, you split time between outfield and first base. Where do you feel the most comfortable playing?
It doesn't matter for me. I'm ready to do whatever manager tells me to do. Go out there and play my best defense that I can.
You've had the opportunity to back up some big league games so far this spring. What has impressed you the most from just being in this dugout and kind of experiencing it from that major league vantage point?
It's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of great leaders with the Mets this year. It's good to kind of see how they operate, and I feel like we have a pretty similar operation going on our side as well. I wouldn't say there's too much so far. I've only been around a couple of games, but it is cool to see how guys take leadership in the clubhouse and in little meetings and stuff like that, making sure that we're all on the same page for what's to come. And something that I think a lot of us can do as well.
Ryan, thank you so much. I know Mets fans are very excited to have you in this organization. Good job today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Gary.
All right, Michelle, we thank you. Laura has been impressive through the first two batters he's faced here in the sixth inning. Lugo was the earlier batter, struck him out on a breaking ball. Now he faces off Marco Vargas. Vargas batting up for a third at bat. Yes, walked in his last at bat and scored the go-ahead run for the Mets. So lead this game 4-2 in the bottom of the sixth inning. And again, I'll reiterate the fact that we will play the full 7 innings, even if the Mets are leading after the top of the seventh. Well, and the one thing Vargas, in addition to the really good idea of the strike zone, the 53 walks that he had there last year, he's working on overall strength. He put a ton of time and effort. It came to strength training this winter, and we're really excited about what that will look like.
All right, Marco Vargas walks. 2 outs in the sixth.
After a fantastic spring, will Mets pitching prospect Nate Lavender get a chance to shine the big league bullpen later in the season? Connor and Jim discuss On the latest episode of the Mets Pod, presented by your Tri-State Cadillac dealer. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Back to the top of the Mets lineup now. Nick Morabito.
Second at bat for Morabito.
And his first and only at bat here this afternoon. Morabito was non-drafted in 2022. Going to play every outfield position. He's in there at center to replace Jet Williams, Virginia.
Ground ball. Oh, what a play to end the inning at second. That's a nice play.
The defense coming through for him. We head to the seventh. It's 4-2 Mets.
All right, top of the seven, 4-2 Mets. That was a nice play up the middle by the shortstop and second baseman. And we got one more pitcher to see for the Mets. And so if you haven't heard, guys, Kodai Senga is still not going to start throwing for another 7 to 10 days. So that's pushing him back about a week. It doesn't seem like a setback, like injury-wise. I just think they want to give him a little bit more time. I guess seeing how well the pitchers have pitched in spring, I don't mind giving Senga an extra, week to get ready and ramp himself up. It takes about 5 to 6 weeks to stretch him out. So you're probably seeing about the first week of May, maybe second week of May, you'll see Senga. So don't expect Senga in April. You hopefully, we'll see him in the middle of May. I know that doesn't sound great, but, I think we can hold off and make sure Senga is 100% before. You don't want to bring him back. You don't want to bring him back too early and then hurt him some more and miss even more time during the season. So just take your time with Senga. Not going to start throwing for another 7 to 10 days. So top of the seventh, Mets lead 4-2. And the last pitcher of the night for the Mets in the spring breakout game, first of Major League Baseball in 2024. Let's see the last pitcher on the mound for the Mets.
CDW, amazing. Top of the seventh inning now here in Port St. Lucie. Now, we were told before the game that no matter what.
All right, Calvin Ziegler.
But now, I believe that has been changed. The bottom of the seventh.
All right, so Calvin Ziegler, a guy that's been in the Mets system a couple of years now, struggled with injuries, but he's a guy that has a live arm.
Injuries in his career, at least so far. His entire 23 season, bone chips. After he's rehabbing his elbow. But this is a guy to keep an eye on. He's a guy that physically, for sure, he's got a fastball that averages around 95. His touch 98 with a plus curveball, a hammer curveball, so 12.6 on the clock dial. He's working on a tight cutter type slider. It's one of those little cutters that comes in on lefties, 89 miles an hour, up and in. It's been a good day so far for TJ White of the Nationals. 2 hits, 2 RBIs. He's driven in both runs today for the Nets. See with Ziegler, that overhand delivery, fastball.
Nice. Strikeout for Ziegler. You can see the stuff is there. If Ziegler can be healthy, he can rise up the system quickly. The Mets were expecting him about a year ago, 2022 probably, for him to be up, but because of injuries, he slowed his progress.
Their thoughts and our thoughts on today's game. And again, spring breakout, something that I think a lot of excitement around Major League Baseball. You've done the futures game,
Yes.
for a number of years. And with the futures game, it's exciting. You get a couple of guys from each team. Here, you get a really full display of many of the top prospects for each organization.
Major League Baseball's hit. You don't get a chance to see. We're going to see another challenge here on that pitch. Fastball. It was a pitch that was a ball called by the umpire.
And it's a ball.
It was up high and out of the zone.
You see on the scoreboard, it has the number of inches out of the strike zone. It's an inch and a half high.
Oh,
There's that
nasty slider
that we have
Woo.
heard about here with Ziegler. And, you know, for now, I mean, he has all the profiles of being a middle of the rotation starter. He just has to stay healthy. And if he can't, he will be a premium type of back end reliever or maybe even a closer, depending on if he can handle those type of situations. So the Mets have a lot of options with him.
Bounced up the middle.
Two out.
It's the late game started in Brooklyn, so as we've been watching the Brooklyn Cyclones and following them and their success over the years, get a good look at Ziegler, at least the early part of the season.
Marco Vargas has looked very smooth at second base, as did Acuna when he was in there up the middle.
Pretty flawless defensively, really, with the one exception down at third base there. Bias got caught on the in-between and would rule a hit, but defense has been good. The pitching has been excellent today for the Mets.
And don't forget, early in the game, that Sun ate it in right field, but you know, Gilbert just had a tough time dealing with it. But it's been a bright sun, a perfect day, a great day for this game today.
Yep, a beautiful day. We got a second game coming up here shortly with the Major League team, but yeah, it's a gorgeous day and a good crowd. It's going to come in here later. See Ziegler going to the breaking ball there. Just missed.
The carry does not go around. The count goes full at 3-2.
I like that pitch there from Ziegler. So 97, he's kind of over the top. We talked about him being able to throw a pitch up in the strike zone with good carry to it, good extra life. Make sure you got to throw that fastball down in the zone, even if it's close.
and strikes him out to finish the game. And the Mets prospects beat the Nationals prospect 4-2. Calvin Ziegler shut him down in the top of the seventh. And there was a couple of guys that the pitching was really good for the Mets. Brendan Sproat and Calvin Ziegler really shined. Tidwell looked pretty good. Tyler Stewart looked pretty good as well. Nice to see a lot of the prospects that you really wouldn't see otherwise. Marco Vargas, Rodriguez, Ronald Hernandez. Clifford, you've seen Parada, 1 for 2 RBI. Dom Hamill, 2 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. So Mets prospects beat Nationals prospects 4-2. So that was the first spring breakout game. And hopefully it's every year. It's good to see all your prospects in one game, unlike minor leagues where you see some in single A, double A, triple A. And the futures game, you might see 1 or 2. Now you get to see a lot of them. So that is it, guys. That is the Mets watch party for the spring breakout game, Mets versus Nationals. Mets win 4-2. 6 o'clock, the actual spring training Major League game is going to happen at 6 o'clock, Mets versus Nationals. So with that said, guys, everybody have a good night. Let's go Mets. Mets prospects beat the Nationals prospects 4-2. Have a good night. Let's go Mets. I'll see you next time, guys. Have a good night.
the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets